Coach Dobbin here. I want to talk to you today about salt and the importance in your diet. So, salt, is it good? Is it bad? Well, it depends. Good amount of salt, according to the American Heart Association, is basically a half a teaspoon or less per day. So, it's about 2,300 milligrams. I personally recommend, and they also recommend this as a step down, which is about 1,500 milligrams. So, that's about 2/3 of a teaspoon. So, if you want to make it easy, stick with a half a teaspoon. The challenge you have with salt is that it's kind of hard to see. It's white. So when you put on your food, you can't really tell how much you put on there. So a good rule of thumb is just do it on your hand. Kind of like that. See how it gets on your hand? Then you can tell how much salt you put on there. So different salts. Okay, here's a lot of controversy, right? Which one's best? Well, first of all, sodium chloride is what a salt is. So straight table salt, very hard to manage in terms of how much you put on your food. So if you're struggling with salt in the first place, a good first step is to do a salt that has less sodium. So this one right here has 66% less sodium, and it's called low salt. And it's really good. So it actually has the sodium chloride, which is salt, but it has potassium and magnesium. So there's a couple other electrolytes in there that can be really helpful. So this would be a good transition from regular table salt to a lower version of sodium, because this one in 1/4 of a teaspoon is 170 milligrams. So in a half a teaspoon would be 340. So 340 instead of 1,500. That's a pretty big improvement. Another one you can actually use is what we call Nu-Salt, which is just potassium chloride. And it's pretty good, but it's a little bit different on the taste. But again, no salt there. But again, oh my gosh, really. Coach Donovan here. I want to talk to you about salt. Is it good? Is it bad? Is it terrible? So your body actually needs salt because a lot of the different functions inside your body, your nerves talking to each other, salt, electrolytes. You need electrolytes in your system. Salt is one of those really important electrolytes. So according to the American Heart Association, they don't recommend any more than about 2,300 milligrams per day for the average adult, which is about a teaspoon. So that's not bad. I recommend, and they do also, that you step it down though, and you go more like 1,500 milligrams a day, because we all know that we don't stick with a half a teaspoon, right? So if we say half a teaspoon, it ends up being 2/3 of a teaspoon. So salt is really important to limit, because if you get too much salt, you get a lot of water retention, and water retention shows up as inflammation throughout your body. That's why it's so problematic for high blood pressure, because more inflammation, less space for the blood to go through your veins, pressure goes up, right? Systemic inflammation causes you pain. So why would you want pain? So it's really important that you choose your salt carefully. Now, the salt, the problem is it's really kind of hard to tell how much you put on there, especially because you can't really see it because it's white, right? So I take my palm and I just like put it like that, and see how you can see the salt on there. It's a lot easier than trying to see the salt, just like dumping it, right? So my favorite transition, if I do love salt, step one, right, swaps, is do one called low salt. I found this at the store this morning. Pretty cool because it has sodium chloride, which is salt, potassium, and magnesium. So it has some extra electrolytes. So I really like that, because a typical, teaspoon of salt is about 2,300 milligrams. Whereas this one, for a whole teaspoon, is for 1/4 of a teaspoon, it's on 170. So times 4 is 780, right? 780 milligrams. So 780 versus 2,300, that's a pretty big improvement. So if you know people in your family that, hey, they just don't want to give up salt, if you can get them to switch this, that's a huge improvement. You can also go with the Nu-Salt, which is basically just potassium chloride. So see that? So there's no sodium chloride, has potassium chloride, but just because it's not salt doesn't mean you can put a ton of it on your food, okay? So be really careful with this kind of stuff. Now, when it comes to different types of salt, some people, once they get the portion control set, then, if you don't want to go with this version, which I still think is a really great choice, some salt, like real salt, has a nicer mineral profile. So that one you can find online. It's just called real salt, or Himalayan salt. So the only challenges you have with those is their full strength, right? Not to be too basic, but they're going to be 2,300 milligrams per teaspoon. So kind of mix it around. That's the bottom line with salt. Hope you like it. And if you have any questions, look us up.